Welcome into the latest edition of the Stealing with the Boys podcast. I am your host, Junie Riddle, here, along with my boys.
Juwan Williams.
And Coach Campbell.
Fellas, it has been way too long since we've been able to get on the podcast together and talk some Steelers football. But what better time to get back into the swing of things than right now, as we are just only a few days away from the Steelers kicking off training camp in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Trey, I know you just recently moved back to your hometown back in PA, so you're going to be out there in training camp. Juwan all of a sudden's got this itch to go back to Pittsburgh every couple months to go see grandma and the cousins and everybody, and he's going to be out there at training camp. And meanwhile, me, the dad with two kids, I can't really go anywhere. So I'm just going to have to live vicariously through these fellas here. But gentlemen, number one, how have you been? And number two, how excited are you that we are finally creeping up on football season with a brand new chapter of the Pittsburgh Steelers? New coach, a lot of new faces, a lot of new players, exciting stuff coming up for this football season. So fellas, how have you been? And what are our thoughts and our initial vibes as we start to approach the beginning of the season?
Well, I guess I'll start first. Been pretty good, was feeling a little down, with the whole the loss and the whole Tomlin thing kind of got me down. But hey, went to the draft, had fun. Once in a lifetime thing. One thing I will never do again is wait 5 hours in one spot just to be in the front. I will never do that again. Only because it was in Pittsburgh. That's the only reason why I did that. Because, never again. My feet was hurting. But other than that, very happy that the season has started. Well, it's about to start. And very, very interested on how this team will turn out. I feel like this team on paper, I'm just saying on paper, this is probably one of the best teams, one of the better teams we done had in quite a long time. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I've moved back home, so I'm a lot closer to Pittsburgh. I plan on trying to make every home game, so that's exciting. I get to see it live and in action. But yeah, I like you said, I'm just excited for it to be here. I'm gonna go to training camp for one of the days, hopefully, and then man, I'm just excited. Like we got a new head coach. It's a new chapter. He's an offensive head coach, offensive minded head coach that we've been kind of like pushing for. So I'm expecting this offense to be new and improved and look really well. Got some additions on that side, with Michael Pittman, and we got Rico Dowdle. So a lot to look forward to on the offense side of the ball. And defense, we just keep getting better on defense, and we got a new defensive coordinator as well. So the coaching staff was one thing. I know last year we were like we don't have good assistants. We don't have that head coach that has it anymore. Well, I don't know if Mike McCarthy has it, but I know he has some assistants that are young and very talented and can bring the best out in these guys. So I'm super excited for this season. Um, I'm glad to have Aaron back too. Like that's another thing people don't talk too much about, but I'm glad he's there. Has two young quarterbacks under him to develop them. So I'm just excited, man. Like being back in Pennsylvania too, just like brings a new excitement for me because now I can just drive to Pittsburgh on game days and enjoy it, be right in the
How
presence of it.
how far are you from your hometown to Pittsburgh?
Like 3.5 hours.
Oh wow, that was actually further than I thought. I thought you were more
Yeah.
centralized. I thought you were going to say like 1.5, 2 hours, but three
No,
three and a half
no,
hours is a is a,
it's
is a
nothing,
pretty
dude.
decent haul though.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing to go see a Steelers game. Come on.
Hey, no, fair enough, fair enough. But no, I like what you both mentioned. This is a new era. Mike McCarthy taking over for Mike Tomlin. Tomlin, a few days after the final game, decides that he is going to step down, feels that he's not the right voice in this new era, this new transition that the Steelers are going through, just because of the similar result. It was stuff that we were talking about on this podcast, and for all of us, I feel like we were kind of holding on to the idea of Mike Tomlin a little bit longer than some of the other fan base. But at least Trey and I, and Juwan, I know you were a Mike Tomlin loyalist to the very end. Trey and I were, yeah, as much as we loved and appreciated what Mike Tomlin brought, I felt like we both were kind of feeling that frustration, and ultimately Mike Tomlin, I feel like, was feeling it too, and ultimately stepped down. And so when the news of Mike McCarthy coming out, initially, I was bummed out. I was like, what are we talking about? I'm like, he got fired from Green Bay, he got fired from Dallas, like he's in his mid 60s. We normally hire a young and up and coming coach that hasn't gotten a head coaching opportunity. That's what the Steelers have been known for, with Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin. And so it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But since then, and seeing some of the moves that we've been making, and where we're at and where Mike McCarthy's at, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of seeing the vision. Just as this team is kind of in transition. We got some older players, we got some young talent. We're kind of in the midst of transitioning. I kind of see Mike McCarthy as like a transitional coach until they go out and use this period of time to look at some of these coaching prospects in order to find out who's going to be the guy for the long haul. So with this new change, I want to hear your all's opinion about how you felt about it, how you feel now, and ultimately what's your favorite new thing that Mike McCarthy has brought to the table, and just his overall new vision for this team that we like going forward into this season. Trey, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yeah, so I'm just excited. He's a Pittsburgh guy. I feel like it means a little bit more to him. And he has something to prove too. Like he hasn't been coaching for, you know, I don't know how many years. It's probably been 5 years at least that he hasn't been
Oh no, it,
coaching.
it hasn't been that it hasn't been that long, Trey. It's been maybe one or two.
One or two, no, no, it has been long. We'll have to look that up. Anyways, I'm just excited, like, it means more to him. He's from Pittsburgh, he's coming back home, has something to prove, has a chip on his shoulder. He knows what Pittsburgh needs and what Pittsburgh wants. And the biggest thing I with him coming in is all new coaches. I think they retained a few coaches, and a few coaches that I didn't really mind. They're more positional coaches than coordinators. But to bring in two new coordinators is really, really big for me, especially defensive coordinator. And then we talked about it all last year. The offensive line coach, he brought his offensive line coach from Green Bay, who they had pretty good offensive lines. And I'm really excited to see what that offensive line coach does with the young talent that we have on the offensive line. But no, I'm just excited to see what he does with this offense because we haven't seen like a new I'm not saying he has a new offense, but we haven't seen the offense that Mike McCarthy is gonna bring to the Steelers, where we're gonna see a little bit more passing, use a run out of spread, and get to show the talent that we have on the offensive side of the ball instead of just kinda I feel like past years, we haven't used all of our talent. They're gonna spread the ball around. They're gonna run the ball as well, and I'm just excited to see what this offense does. Like the defense, we know what the defense brings. The defense is gonna bring that with whatever. They played pretty well with the or the defense coordinator they had, but this offense is what really excites me this year because it's gonna be completely different what we're used to in Pittsburgh.
Juwan?
I was just like you, Junie. So I was very down when we got the news about Mike McCarthy. But it kind of grew on me, just like how Trey said, how he's a Pittsburgh guy, he's from Pittsburgh, and he knows it means a lot to him. But I really do like the moves that he has made, mostly on the offense, because of course the defense. Every year we always get a few big names on defense, but on offense, the move for Michael Pittman Jr. I that was like left field for me. I've never thought that we was gonna get a number two, a solid number two, because we're so used to having a average number two, and with Michael Pittman, along with DK, it kind of like takes all the pressure off DK because now you have two 6'4" wide receivers on both sides, so you can't really double team, which makes it, I would say, easier for one or the other. But also with the drafting of Jeremy Bernard, I really like this guy, and I don't want to say who he remind me of because I don't want to move too quickly. But um, with this signing, it also gives somebody like Roman Wilson an opportunity to compete for a spot because we really, I know I do, I really want to see Roman Wilson on the field, but now you have competition. So it's either put up or shut up now. But all in all, this offense for me is very good. Elite. Also, Rico Dowd. Can't forget him. The Rico Dowd and Jalen Warren combo is gonna be a very good sight to see because I know that Warren is kind of like the he was kind of like the power back, but I feel like Rico is more of a power back than Warren is. So I would really like how to see that combo. But if we move on to the defensive side, I really like the signing of Jamel Dean for sure. With him and JPJ on the field, I can't name five other cornerback duos that's better than them two. Statistically, I would say from last year to this year. Because I don't even think that if I can recall, JPJ didn't give up a touchdown, did he?
I don't think he's given up
Not
a
like
touchdown in the last
2
two
years.
seasons.
Yeah. So with because I've been looking at the grades that people have been giving him, well, him and Dean from like the last year or so, and it's been solid. They've been the top five in most categories. So all in all, I really like the direction this is going. Like I said before, this team, top to bottom, is one of the better teams I've seen us have since, I'll say, 2016, 2015, 2016.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Really?
For a high power offense, I would say defense, because the defense wasn't all that good that year, but for offensive purposes, yes.
Fair
I
enough. Fair
I,
enough.
want to mention one thing on defense since I didn't mention any defense. I think this might be the most underrated signing we had in the offseason was Jaquan Brisker.
It's a
He's
good one.
again he's a Pittsburgh guy. He took a hometown discount, whether people want to admit it or not. He definitely did. Um, and then that just allows Jalen Ramsey to move to the slot full time. We get Elliott back. We have those two safeties back there, two starting caliber safeties. A lot of people forget about Elliott. Elliott's coming back. Deshaun Elliott's coming back off an injury. And then we have them two back there. We have Jalen playing the slot. And then, like you said, Jamel Dean and JPJ. Like, this is most the best secondary we've probably seen the Steelers. I don't know. It might be the best secondary on paper that we've seen almost forever, like in our lifetimes anyway. Because
Mm,
we don't have they're two number one cornerbacks. We have Jalen Ramsey, who was a number one cornerback. He's a little older, but he'll be in the slot. And then you have two starting, I would say, star caliber safeties as well. Like Deshaun Elliott, we saw what he did when he was healthy for a full season. Jaquan Brisker with the Bears was a stud too. So like this defense excites me a lot, and I just didn't talk about it much because our defense is always pretty decent, and our offense is usually the stagnant part. So that's what I was more excited for the offense. But this defense is gonna be pretty elite on paper for sure.
So just to give my 2 cents about, the whole Mike McCarthy hire and some of the changes that have been made, all in all, like I was feel like I kind of had the same reaction as most people that, again, like I mentioned earlier, I was disappointed. But, hearing that press conference and seeing the raw, real emotion that he gave, the passion that you could feel that he had about Pittsburgh, and just to kind of one up Trey here, Mike McCarthy actually coached the Dallas Cowboys in 2024, so he only took 1 year
Oh, really?
off. And the reason I remember that is because I remember that game that Dallas came to Pittsburgh and they won on like the final play on the goal line, if you all remember. Um, and I remember Mike McCarthy making it a big deal for the Cowboys to come in and kind of see the football culture of Pittsburgh, and that was like a big talking point throughout the year. But for him to now be the head coach and to be in this predicament, like I really, really number one like the coaching staff, and this is kind of something that is going off what you guys said here. But Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator, is the one that I'm really the most excited about. I mean, the guy has never had elite defensive talent. I mean, this is hands down going to be the most talent that he's ever had on defense. I feel like he is a great coordinator. I mean, the Raiders defense last year when he was a coordinator for them I mean, you looked at their personnel. I mean, it was awful. Outside of Max Crosby, it was awful. And he was he was in and out of injury last year. But they were still ranked 14th in the league in total defense. 14th in the league, right? And now you're going to give him all these studs. And not even to mention that. It's just like when I know you all, and I'm not going to kind of keep touching on the same points that you all did, because you can look at the starting lineup and be like, wow, like this team is super deep. But I'm just going to start naming off names who are not starters on this defense. Sebastian Joseph Day, a great veteran nose tackle. Yaya Black made some plays last year, right? Jack Sawyer, Cole Holcomb, Nick Herbig, right? Asante Samuel Jr., and Brandon Eccles, who I feel like when Brandon Eccles got some opportunities last year, yes, did he get exposed in certain games? Of course he did. He's not a star corner. But to have him on your bench as a rotational piece, as somebody who's a reserve in case somebody gets injured, guys, not only is this one of the better starting lineups on defense that the Steelers have had, but it's also one of the deeper ones. I mean, if a couple guys go down in years past, that's been like, oh no, that's gonna really, really hurt us. Now, if guys go down a little bit, we have the added depth on this defense. And I feel like the coordinator who can kind of scheme around the talent a little bit better, who has more of an X's and O's background to be able to make these type of adjustments. So all in all, like what's been so frustrating with me about the Steelers is how talented this defense has been. But you look at their rankings, they've been below average for years. I mean, I don't think this has been a top 10 defense on paper since 2022. Um, and I mean that's been 3 or 4 years. And all in all, I think the defense is going to be much more improved. And just to go back on what you guys are saying on the offensive side of things, the addition of Michael Pittman Jr., Jeremy Bernard, I mean, a lot of things are coming out about him saying that he could potentially be the real deal, which is super exciting. But let's not lose focus and depth in probably one of the most important areas. It's the offensive line. They went out with their first round pick, whether you liked it or not. Max Ahanicher out of Arizona State, they go out and get him, super athletic guy, a lot of potential with good coaching. I feel like he could turn into a stud. Troy Fautanu, Broderick Jones coming off injury, the way Dylan Cook was playing last year. They go out and what was the other guy that they drafted? Oh my gosh, why can't I think of his name?
Mullet Man, Mr. Mullet Man.
Mullet Man, dude. Is it
What
Dunker?
is his
Is it
name?
Dunker?
Dunker. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Dunker.
but it's like guys, like the offensive line is really deep, and if they can get that offensive line to come together, I like this year. This year could be really, really exciting. This could be really exciting. So what I want to transition into now, and I kind of want this to kind of be like, because I feel like this is going to be a deep, deep conversation. I want us to talk about what is our floor and what is our ceiling. Like looking at our schedule, I feel like the Steelers, per usual, have a really, really tough schedule, right? And typically we save our record predictions until right before the season kicks off. And I still want to do that after we get to watch the preseason. But all in all, like, guys, what do you think our floor is and what do you think our ceiling is? And Juwan, I want to start with you on this.
Let me pull it up because
I mean, I have it pulled up right now. I can read it to you.
I was going. Well, yeah, you can read it. You can read it to me.
Okay. So we got Falcons at home opener. Week 2 at Patriots. Week 3 at home against the Bengals. Week 4, the coveted, the almost annual Thursday night game in Cleveland, right? Week 5, Colts come to Pittsburgh. Week 6, Steelers go to the Buccaneers down in Tampa. Week 7 is going to be the game overseas against the New Orleans Saints. The Browns come to Pittsburgh the following week. Steelers go to Cincinnati after that. Then we got Steelers at Eagles, Broncos at Steelers, Texans at Steelers, Steelers at Jags, Ravens at Steelers, Panthers at Steelers, Steelers at Titans, and to end the year, Steelers at Ravens. That's a. I mean, guys,
Dude, that's a tough schedule.
that's
I
a
know. I was
tough.
looking at it. I was
I
looking
mean,
at it.
outside of the Browns at home, I mean, there is not one like, oh, that's a gimme. That's a gimme. Even the Panthers at home, dude. The Panthers won the NFC South last year. They're a team that's been on the rise and has been getting a lot better.
We took the running back though. Come on.
They still have Chuba Hubbard. They still have
Yeah,
Chuba Hubbard. And
yeah, you're right.
he's pretty nice. He's pretty nice. But I mean, they have one of the best offensive lines in the league. I mean, that's their bread and butter. That's why Bryce Young has gotten a lot better, is because he's had great protection. So the Panthers have been one of those teams that with Ryan Canales that's just really, really been developing since he's kind of taken over the helm there. So it's like there's not really a give me game on this schedule. I mean, maybe the Falcons week 1. That might be one of our weaker opponents too, but I mean,
You don't know what Tua is going to show up because
yeah, exactly. Especially Tua in August, or I mean
yeah,
Tua in early
exactly.
September. With good weather. I mean, that's not the Tua that you want to see. We've seen Tua in December and crushed him. That's been great, but seeing Tua in the beginning of the season is typically not the time that you want to see that guy. So all in all, it's like this is a pretty tough schedule. So Juwan, I've given you a minute to kind of look at the schedule and take a peek. Your floor and ceiling for this team.
My floor is 10-7.
Wow.
Yeah, my floor is 10-7.
Wow.
My ceiling is 11-6.
It's not that is a fine line margin right there. That is a fine line margin.
Because you just gotta look at some games, because I can already tell right now we're gonna lose that Thursday night game against the Cleveland Browns. I mean, being real.
That's almost a gimme.
Yeah, we might split with the Bengals. I think we're gonna sweep the Ravens. That stretch with the Eagles, Denver, Jaguars, Texans,
And the
it's tough.
Bengals to start that off too. Like the Bengals
Yeah, I'm
start
saying.
that
So
off. Yeah.
In
because I already got
Cincinnati.
them losing. Yeah, so and they're wearing their white jerseys. Yeah, they're white out. I went to the last whiteout game, so yeah. But that I see, 10-7, 11-6. I can see us. I feel like us losing 5 games is a stretch, but I can see the most 7, at least 6.
All right, Trey.
I'm gonna our floor, which it is every year. I would say 9-8. 9-8. I don't see this team has too much talent with the new coaching staff and just the talent that they have. I don't see them having a losing record. I say 9-8 is probably our floor, and I say with 9-8 we might sneak into the playoffs. It's gonna be one of those things again. But I think with this new coaching staff, our ceiling can be a lot higher because with Tomlin, it was always like we're backing into the playoffs. We're back into the playoffs. We have a winning record, but we're backing into the playoffs at the end. I think with this new coaching staff, it's going to be more emphasized to turn it on towards the end of the year, and that's when our toughest schedule is. I feel like from that Bengals game on is where our tough, like we have the Eagles, like you said, the Broncos, Texans, like all those games at the end of the season. So I think like if we can get the beginning of the season, you know, get some momentum with when we have easier games, easier in quotation marks because they're not very easy. Um, I think our ceiling. I think our ceiling Man, if this team plays the way it can on paper, I I'm gonna go high on our ceiling. I think 12-5 would be our ceiling, but we also have a pretty average floor, like a 9-8 season. Like it could happen. But I think ceiling, if everything goes no injuries, we stay healthy, and it goes the way I think it can. I think we could hit that 12-5 record.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
before we go to you, Junie, I understand the whole 9-8 joke, whatever. But if you look down the line the last 10 years, we only went 9-8 once. We had an 8-8 season. We only went 9-8, 8-8 and 1. We only went 9-8 once, but
I think it was 8-7-1, wasn't it?
one of them
Yeah.
What year was that?
That
when
was
we tied. What was it? Who we tied with? The
that's when Duck Hodges and them,
Brown.
because it's when Mason Rudolph tied with the Lions when the Lions
No,
were
no,
like
no, no. Yeah, that was 9-7-1.
9-7-1.
Nine seven and
Sorry.
one. 9-7-1. I was about to say, I was like 9-8-1. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right. So again, I don't want to sound pessimistic when I say this. I don't want to sound pessimistic because every year we get excited. Every year we get excited, and then a lot of times like we just get crushed. So I in my mind, I like when we were talking about this pre-show, I was like, I've really got to go worst case scenario. I got to go worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is Aaron Rodgers falls off the cliff. Like he just absolutely plummets. Like y'all remember Brady in his last year, the year prior, I mean, he was still top of his game, 4,000-yard passer, Super Bowl contender. They had that wild game in the playoffs in Tampa against the eventual Super Bowl champion Rams and almost beat them if it wasn't for a silly cover zero, finding Cooper Cup down in the final seconds, getting that field goal. Do y'all remember that game?
Yeah.
Maybe not, maybe not. But either way, the Bucks and Brady were still a Super Bowl contender. And then the following year, Brady just hit a wall and they were just not the same team. They didn't even make the playoffs. They were just not that good. Well, they did make the playoffs, but they made the playoffs with a losing record with Tom Brady. Um, but either way, so I'm thinking worst case scenario, injury bug happens. I'm talking TJ Watt, Aaron Rodgers, like offensive line doesn't gel because everybody's still moving around. Um, I'm gonna say our floor is 7-10. 7-10. And that is not what I believe is going to happen. But I'm just saying if all the worst cards fall because of some of the age and where some of our superstars that we're going to be relying heavily on are, if it comes to that, then I think like it could go down and go down quickly, right? So I'm saying our floor is 7-10. But our ceiling, I'm going to agree with Jawan. I think the schedule's tough. I think if we had a lackadaisical schedule, I think my ceiling would be a lot higher. But I'm going to go 11-6 as our ceiling. I think we're likely going to hit the 9-8, 10-7 range. But if we go into the playoffs healthy, and kind of with some momentum, right? I genuinely think this team can make some noise, and I haven't believed that in the last couple of years. But it's like the wide receiver core has improved tremendously. The secondary has improved tremendously. Offensive line depth, which has been an issue, has improved tremendously. The defensive line that they have been building through the draft the last couple of years has been really starting to come together. How are these guys going to start to develop? Right? They just paid Nick Herbig, right? They're expecting a big year out of him. Like what? And Highsmith has something to prove. TJ had one of his worst years. He's got something to prove, right? And so if everything comes together with how we want it to, I mean, even maybe 11-6 for our hypothetical. I mean, the way I'm going hypothetical for our floor, maybe I should go 12-5, honestly, with our hypothetical. See, like if everything goes right, offensive line gels, Aaron improves from last year and a more offensive friendly. He's got more receiving help than he has in probably the last like 3 or 4 years, probably since his last couple of years when he was winning MVPs in Green Bay. Right, the defense. I already mentioned it earlier how deep it is, how talented it is, and we finally have a defensive coordinator that is legit. Like Patrick Graham, Patrick Graham is probably what I am most excited for this entire season, fellas. Like I cannot like exaggerate that enough about how excited I am that I think he can improve this defense tremendously. But all in all, like this team with where they are, this is again, fellas, this is a transitional time period for us. Coach, roster, young players, older players who are expensive. If it comes together the right way, it could be beautiful. It could be beautiful. But if the dominoes don't fall our way, and pieces start to crumble, especially Aaron Rodgers, then it could get ugly. I mean, it could get ugly. If we're throwing Will Howard or Drew Aller in the mix in the beginning of the season, it is going to get ugly. Ugly. So I agree with you all on your points about the beginning of the year, the schedule. I think they definitely got to get off to a good start to kind of build some cushion for that 3/4 of the way stretch, Bengals, Eagles, Broncos, Texans, Jags, Ravens. Like they got to have some built-in wins before that. So all in all, I think the swing with this team is going to be a lot wider than most teams in the league, just simply with how this roster is constructed and where this team is at in general.
I'm so glad when you just said everything, and I'm so glad you didn't say one name. Mason Rudolph. Okay. You went from Will Howard, Drew Aller. You didn't say no Mason Rudolph. I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad.
I just don't see how he's on the roster after training camp. I can't you can't see I can't see it with the potential of those two. And like they could, I don't even know if he can go in the practice squad, can he? Like
No,
they're not putting either of them on the practice squad because practice squad stealing is still a thing. Like
they're not going to risk losing either Will Howard or Howard,
yeah.
and there's no way that they're going to waste a roster spot on a fourth quarter. Like it's just, and again, and I know Juwan didn't like Mason Rudolph. I think Mason Rudolph's a good dude. I thought for a couple of years he was a good backup, but it's like with where we are with our quarterback situation, it's like we have to really put a priority towards upside talent, young guys. And we kind of know where Mason Rudolph is. He can be a solid backup in this league. You put him in the right situation, he can win you a couple games. He's definitely done that for us, and appreciate what he has done for the Steelers organization. In my opinion, I think he's going to be like forever Steeler. Honestly, not to the level of like a Charlie Batch backup, but like I think like a tier below that. I think fans are going to value Mason Rudolph, but I do think this is the end. I think this is the end.
What would be a tier below? Tommy Maddox?
No, Byron Leftwich. That would be my comparison. Yeah.
Maybe he's like in between. Like if we're talking like a backup sandwich, he's like Byron Leftwich is the bottom slice of bread.
Yeah.
And then Mason Rudolph's in the middle, and then you put Charlie Batch on top. Like there's no beating Charlie Batch. There's no beating Charlie.
Yeah.
But y'all get what I'm saying. It's over for Mason Rudolph. And if we're gonna kind of end on something here, and I know we're all like excited for the season to start, but I think we're all really excited for preseason to see Will Howard and Drew Aller suit up and see what these guys have. Like that is something that honestly, like I know we were all excited when like Kenny Pickett and that preseason, but for me, this is like
I'm excited, dude. I want to go to those home games, dude. I want to go to those home games just to see them two play. Like I don't care who they play with. Like I just want to see them two play, dude.
Because this would be our first time. Actually, crazy thing, it would be our first time seeing both of them on the field
ever.
So yeah, that is sightsee, and it's some other. We'll wait till the next episode, but it's some other players. It's do or die time.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Let's do it.
Certainly.
That's what.
And with training camp approaching rapidly, these are some of the answers that we're going to be discussing as training camp goes on. Y'all know how it is every year. We're going to see videos. We're going to get updates. Some of the Steelers insiders are going to be talking about names to look out for. We're going to be on that. We're going to start recording episodes more frequently. Don't think we're going to go on a week-to-week basis probably till preseason comes about. But as big news arises and as the Steelers go through, training camp and seeing guys that are filling in certain roles, looking at certain position battles, like the offensive line position battles. There's going to be, battles at guard, battles at tackle, cornerbacks. Like how is that rotation going to be? Receiving battles with Roman Wilson, Jeremy Bernard. Like there's going to be a lot of battles, a lot of good, healthy competition. That's very good for a team like this because iron sharpens iron. And that's something that this team has lacked, I believe, for a very, very long time. And so it'll be really interesting to see. And we're definitely going to be on top of that and following that and recording a lot more frequently to give you guys some more updated opinions from your all's truly here on the Stealing with the Boys podcast. But guys, anything left to discuss before we close out tonight and let training camp and some of the guys going out there and putting some work do the talking for us?
Man,
I'm just excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just this, this is really, well, I can say for me, this is really like my first new era, because I was on the back end of the Cowher era. So like I really only knew Tomlin. So now this is the McCarthy era. And we shall see what happens.
Hopefully optimistic is the word.
Yes, I just hope he doesn't bring that cowboy juju to us. That's it. Other than that, I'm very excited to see where this team is going.
And that's the biggest thing. We just talked. My juices started flowing when you started talking about those two quarterbacks that are going to play in the preseason. Like I'm usually like so ready for the regular season where I'm like training camp's fun to watch and everything, but the preseason games I'm like whatever. This year, like I'm invested now because I want to see this quarterback battle. If we have a guy behind Aaron Rodgers, that eliminates this little transition period for us. Like we don't have to go through those dark ages if we know we have a guy behind Aaron Rodgers. And that's what I'm most excited to see in this since we're a preseason episode in right now. But that's where I'm at. Like if we can get a quarterback, we still have young talent behind a lot of our vet guys too. So like Junie said, we have depth everywhere. Young, it's a good mix of young and old guys, and that's what I want to give Omar Khan a little credit with that too. I didn't get to say that earlier, but Omar Khan is building this team to where we don't have to go through that 3 and whatever season. Like I don't think that's gonna happen with the way he's building this team, which is beautiful to see because I don't like to be. I mean, we've had those 9-8 seasons, but I think we stay pretty relevant throughout this transition after this year when there's no Aaron Rodgers and there's some guys might get moved on from with no Aaron Rodgers. So I'm excited to see that. I really the quarterback battle between the 2 and the 3 is going to be my favorite thing this training camp and preseason.
Excellent stuff today, guys. I mean, I truly believe that the last time we recorded was almost 6-7 months ago. So it's honestly great to be back on here. It's super exciting to go into the season. So much change, so much opportunity, so many storylines to discuss. And honestly, fellas, great episode. Great episode. I thought we were going to have to knock the rust off a little bit, but boys, we picked right back up on the pace where we left off. So excellent episode, guys. To all of our listeners, we truly appreciate you being patient with us and waiting on us to come back with this. And we promise to be more consistent with it this year and definitely going to be driving it home because, again, this is too big of a season and too big of an opportunity for this team and this organization for us to not interject some of our opinions. So we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you tuning in for the Stealing with the Boys podcast 2026 season. We are out.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Come on.